What's up, guys? I am JP,
And I'm Ryan.
and we are...
You're CineNerds. Before we get started, I'm just going to let you know, I'm going to be openly honest. This is our second attempt at this episode because of me. I tried to live in the moment, should we say, when we started filming this show. And within 15 minutes of the filming, I became useless. So right here, JP, insert said intro.
right now.
I might have died there.
I'm not sure what happened.
Oh. Yeah, I'm dying. Okay. You get the point. But yeah, so needless to say, I had a little adventure. I slowed down in my speech, my responses. I became half-baked.
I spent the entire episode trying to get him to talk. So,
And I chose the movie.
yeah, and it was the movie he chose, and I was just like... He messaged me after, like the next day, wasn't it?
Yeah, the next morning, I'm
yeah.
like, we should probably scrap that.
He's like, watch that and let me know if it's salvageable. And I'm like, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, the episode was only 20 minutes long, and it was 20 minutes of me trying to get you to talk. The episode's not usable, so that is why the half-baked episode that was supposed to come out a few weeks ago got pushed back.
And if nothing else, we have a lot of good B-reel for it. So we'll have we should probably do a bloopers thing at some point down the road. So we'll keep that for some later.
Yeah, I'll have to make
fun.
sure I save the backup of that video too.
Yeah,
To keep for B-roll.
because there was points where he was asking questions to me, and I was just like one-word answers, and then I was like, looked at him like, "Yep, sure, I don't know, I don't know."
It would be like a 20-second pause and be like, "Yeah," and that would be it.
Oh boy. Well, without further ado, we'll get into half baked. But before we do, usually we throw this on the back end, but I wanted to get ahead of it and start trying to talk to you guys about this on the intro. If you guys wouldn't mind, all artists depend on word of mouth, no matter what field you're in of art. So if you guys wouldn't mind, if you like what we're doing, you like what you're hearing, and you like the movies like we do, just do us a favor and share. Share everything you can, write a review, just get the word of mouth out there. It helps us continue to do this, continue to grow, and hopefully we can keep doing this for years to come.
Yeah, and please go to CineNerdsPodcast.com, where all of our new episodes are right there. You can get to all of our links, our shop. You can order merchandise, as well as written reviews, which I have been doing, and Ryan has not yet. But
embarrassingly, I have not. JP has a steady influx in there. By the way, I think so. Last episode when we tried to record this, JP was trying to show me how to upload said reviews.
I figure I had to show him again.
Yeah, we're gonna have to revisit.
So that being said, though, if you go to our .com, the CineNerdsPodcast.com, there is a email subscription area to where you can subscribe to the website. Now, what that does is anytime we do a written review, or I can actually send out like weekly newsletters, you can get those. Anytime a written review's up, it will come straight to your email. So please, you can subscribe there as well as the Facebook and Apple Podcasts, as YouTube, all of it.
And the cool thing now that we're doing the written reviews with the website is that we a lot of people give us a lot of great suggestions, and we aren't able to get to all of them. So we have to pick and choose where we go and what we do. With this feature, now, if you guys are giving us suggestions, we're more inclined. Maybe it's not an episode that we do with the podcast, but if we just do the review in there, at least you guys will know we're trying to get through these as you guys suggest them. So,
and that's kind of what I'm doing right now. I just watched painfully watched all the Children of the Corn films.
But you like part 3, I saw.
No, part 3 was one of the weaker ones. Part 4.
Oh, part
is
4.
part 4.
Okay.
So I just rewatched all of the Children of the Corns. Now, mind you, there's fucking 11 of them.
Jesus Christ.
11 Children of the Corns.
That's right. He's trying to get me to rewatch all of the Leprechaun movies.
Those are worth rewatches. I'm going to tell you.
Are they?
I painfully rewatched all the Children of the Corns because I knew I could not put that through Ryan. And
I would have done it.
we still can do it. We can still do it later on down the road. It might be something in the near future. But I have painfully watched these. So I am writing those reviews now, and I'm not doing them all at once. I'm kind of spreading them out to release on our website. But you can check out my reviews of the Children of the Corns as I'm putting them out every few days. And let me tell you, I've got some bad ones I'm getting ready to put out. Like the ones I have released have been pretty good. The ones I'm getting ready to start writing, these films are so awful. They are awful.
Dude, I just found some movies that I'm excited to throw into the review mix. So I won't even go further. Let's get back into Half Baked here.
Half Baked.
Oh boy, 1998 gem.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. Well, so so we discussed this before I melted. We discussed this.
Do you remember what you rated this at?
I know it was low. I know it was like 2.5, 3 in that ballpark because I still feel the same way. I'm not going to lie. So this one is obviously a rewatch. Most of us saw this in our youth. And I'm going to quote Dave Chappelle on this one. Dave Chappelle had 2 versions of the script. And when he did the script, they weren't necessarily happy with the original way that it came out. And by the time the film studio was done with it, he referred to it as a weed movie for kids. So basically a lot of the things that he had put in there to make it a Chappelle fashion movie got downplayed, and we got the PG version that we got. So at that time, when in my instance, I was a little kid in high school coming out of school and watching this movie, I thought it was the funniest thing in the world. I thought it was unbelievable. And I was like, this movie's comedic gold. It's the best thing ever. In retrospect, watching it, 40 years later, 20 years, I just really aged myself. God damn it. Anyways, 20 years later, did not hold up that well. It has its moments still, and it's not bad, but it's just not what it was in my eyes.
Yeah. And for me, this film, it was the same for me. Like when it came out, and it was 98, right? That's what you said. Mm-hmm. And I have it right here. I could have scrolled up and looked, but I fucking loved this film when it came out in 98. Like, because I love Harlan Williams. I think Harlan Williams is so fucking amazing, and I'm a huge fan of his film Rocket Man. Like, I love fucking Rocket Man, and this movie, I laughed my ass off when it came out, and I watched this a lot, and had not really watched this movie in years and years, and just because this wasn't really a go-to movie, even though I really loved it back then. Man, it does not hold up.
No, but there are some moments that I forgot about completely and was dying laughing still. Even though it didn't hold up to what it did, I forgot about the whole reason that Kenny goes to jail. And that was feeding an officer. He gets sent on the Munchies run, comes out with all the Munchies. We're talking pizza, chips, Doritos, chocolate, you name it. He's got 2 giant bags, it looked like, I think, coming out of this store. And he sees a horse tied off, and it's a Mountie or police horse, whatever.
It's like a New York City horse riding
Canadians.
Officer.
I just brought Canadians into the mix. Anyways,
Canada.
Yeah, so police horse, and he feeds he thinks he's doing a great thing to this horse by giving it snacks and giving it treats. The horse falls over and dies. And there's a police officer running up. What'd you do? And he's like crying. And he goes, I just fed it food. He's diabetic. I was laughing so hard. I was crying, and I was laughing into a pillow because my family's upstairs sleeping and I didn't want to bother them. I forgot about that. And it was horrible. But the whole premise that spirals from there, the whole core of the movie, it's good. It's just the way that it gets delivered is very...
Well, the thing is that scene and every scene that Harlan Williams is in in this film is amazing. Like, this dude is just legit. He's a funny fucking guy. And the whole scene with him feeding that fucking horse
It's
it's the best. It's I don't know if it's the best scene in the movie, but it's definitely one of the best scenes.
Harder than any other part of the movie.
Some of the stuff with Harlan Williams, like I think my favorite scene. Now that one's up there, but I think my favorite scene is him singing in the shower.
And the soap bar just goes in slow motion. Like, that's what I felt that moment. It's like slowly going through the air, and all their eyes are widening. Like, oh.
I love the soap scene, and then him bending over, and all of a sudden another set of legs walking up behind him, and
then comes up Bruce Lee version of freaking Tommy Chong. Like, I was like, Tommy Chong is like a badass in this movie. This is a totally different version of him, which is funny because Jim Brewer's character is more Tommy Chong than Tommy Chong is in this movie.
Yeah.
Tommy Chong's cool to bring up too because his daughter, which we discussed, was in one of the movies we've done before,
yeah.
Soul Man, Ray Don Chong, and I just like saying that fast because it's funny. So Ray Don Chong, Ray Don Chong. Anyways, I found way more humor in that than anyone, apparently. No, solid, though, all the way through. But the moments where the jokes hit with Chappelle, especially, I do feel like Chappelle was on a leash.
Well, all the Mary Jane jokes were just like, oh my God, this is painful.
I have Mary Jane written to the side because of that. I agree.
Yeah,
like, I had a little note for it.
I didn't even notice that. It was just that's the one thing. The whole fucking movie, I'm like, the girl he's seeing, her name is Mary Jane, and then obviously the weed term Mary Jane, and it becomes a running joke through the whole fucking thing, and it's not even a funny joke. It's just annoying.
Is it the Spawn soundtrack that's Sonic Youth and Cypress Hill? That Mary Jane song?
It's definitely Cypress Hill, but I can't.
Yeah, no, I think Sonic Youth did it with them. Sugar, get me high. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to remember it. But anyways, really, every time I hear it, I think of the Mary Jane thing. Every time I heard the name. By the way, that's something I'm going to push, and you guys are going to have to deal with at some point. I want to do a soundtracks episode. I think
we've talked about that, and I've talked about a musical, but
I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna sell you on the musical one.
The wife and I literally get into this anytime she puts anything on. It's musical, even if it's a series. I will skip that episode. I will go away from it. Yeah, I can't do musicals.
I've got to say, and I still haven't finished it. And I was doing this a while back. I was doing the Riverdale series because I had never watched Riverdale, and they always have a musical episode every season.
Every season. Every
season. Some of those musicals were fucking painful.
Now,
but the Heathers musical episode on Riverdale.
Was that the one they did Mad World?
I believe it. I think it was.
Because I have the Riverdale version of Mad World in my fucking playlist.
Well,
it's so good.
The whole musical episode is them doing a theater production of the film Heathers. And it's a musical about Heathers, and it's so fucking good.
Not to get too far off from Half Baked, but I will talk about Riverdale for a second, because Riverdale, I completely loved that show. I love that it was tied into the chilling misadventures of Sabrina. Just adventures.
The chilling adventures of Sabrina.
Yeah. So I love that those two were connected, and I loved how beautifully in Riverdale, they paid respects to Matthew Perry's passing. Not Matthew Perry, Luke Perry. Luke Perry. Different Perry. We've lost too many Perrys. But yeah, it was done so well. And Shannon Daughtry, who was, she was on that episode, and it was even more heart-wrenching because of that. So it's good stuff. But anyways, back to Half Baked.
Half Baked. So Mary Jane. Yeah, I didn't like the Mary Jane stuff, but I don't know, man. I mean, this whole film is just juvenile. It's juvenile comedy, and it just isn't. It's not Chappelle at his best, and I don't know.
No, it's not Chappelle at his best. Completely agree. But it's not bad. It's just like you said. It's not where I am maturity wise now by any means. It's definitely a kid element. It is a weed movie for kids, as said. Now, let's talk about the guest cameos. So there are a lot of amazing cameos in this movie. Snoop Dogg, Willie Nelson, Tracy Morgan, Stephen Baldwin, Jon Stewart,
Bob Saget.
Well, I was getting there. Hold on. So here's the funny thing about the Bob Saget bit. Bob Saget is referred to as what the hell is he referred to as? He's not. His name is not in the credits. He is referred to as something else. I think it just says addict, cocaine addict, or something like that. But they don't say his name in the credits anywhere.
Really?
Yeah, and I was very thrown back by that. But I don't know if it's because after his passing, his family didn't want that association. I don't know why that happened, but he definitely Bob Saget, Danny Tanner, whatever you want to call him. He, not I, he used to suck dick for coke. Now that's an addiction. You ever suck dick for marijuana? And that's because Dave Chappelle, in a promise moment to Mary Jane, he goes to a addiction counseling thing, if you will. He gets up on stage and he's starting to tell how he's addicted to marijuana.
It's like a Narcotics Anonymous.
These people turn on him so bad. You don't know what addiction is. Marijuana, that's what you're here for? Like reading him the riot act, and Dave Chappelle stands up, and that's his claim to fame in that movie. Or not Dave Chappelle, Bob Saget stands up, and that is literally one of the best lines in the movie too. That's up there. That's top 5 moments for me.
And I loved Jon Stewart's cameo in this. But back then, I was a massive Jon Stewart fan.
I vaguely remember you talking about this last time.
Yeah, I loved the Jon Stewart show. I know a lot of people don't remember that, but he had a late night talk show called the Jon Stewart Show. He actually brought on like a lot of fucking rock and metal and hardcore bands and punk rock bands and stuff on his.
He was doing it before
show.
Kimmel thought he was cool.
Yeah, like he brought Marilyn Manson out on his show. Like, and his talk show was fun. I watched it every night. So I was a big Jon Stewart fan. So to see him make the jump from late night talk show to a little and stand up comedy to this little skit and Half Baked, I even back then I loved it.
Jon Stewart in my life has grown into a very, very respectable individual because he's real. He's funny as hell. He goes and fights the good fights for the right people. Like he fought for all the first responders from 9/11 to get them all covered and taken care of through the health because a lot of them had the health issues and were dropping left to right from cancer issues. He went and he fought for them. He he came back to the Daily Show, which is only doing Monday nights, but he just always has this middle ground, logical approach at everything that's going on in the world right now. And I'm here for it because it's so, like, everything's so fucked up right now. And, we just got through the inauguration and all those types of things. And I'm not going into politics, but Jon Stewart brings that balance and that calm to my mind because he lets me know I'm not crazy for the things I think.
Yeah, no, he's great. I actually stopped watching The Daily Show when he left because I just did not enjoy it without Jon Stewart. But now that he came back, I've been randomly watching.
I watch his episodes, but then I can't remember his name for the life of me, but there is and I'm generalizing because I don't know specifically which nation he's from, but he is an Asian guy. He's got a scar on his right eye, and that dude's awesome. He is so fun. He's right up there too.
Yeah. And since I've started watching again, since he's came back, I've watched some of the other one, and I've found enjoyment again with The Daily Show. I did not like it after he left, when
we had that Trevor Noah dude, that was awful.
I didn't like Trevor Noah at all, and I didn't like the other guy. Was it Steve Colbert that took it over for a while? I wasn't a big fan of Steve Colbert's.
Steve is a little too dry. I don't dislike him, but he's a little too dry for me. Trevor, I didn't dislike either, but I didn't feel that was the right platform for him.
Yeah,
he needed a different show with a more serious underlying tone because that seemed to be what he wanted more than comedy.
Yeah.
So Jon Stewart was a good part for sure. The Willie Nelson one, that cameo got me pretty good because the Willie Nelson portion is basically like him doing the back in my day type scenario where he's like just telling him how it used to be and how much weed used to cost and all these things.
But I think like the Willie Nelson cameo is great, but I just think that Willie did it better in Dukes of Hazzard.
Fair.
He essentially was playing the same kind of character, kind of, and it.
I do want to talk about Snoop Dogg too, of course, because it's half baked and I feel obligated. So funny little story about Snoop Dogg. So, and I think I remember telling this story too last time. Anyway, so Snoop Dogg, just a little bit, even though the movie's called Half Baked, there was no actual pot on set and no one smoked pot, except, go figure, Snoop Dogg. So the scene with Snoop Dogg where he's sitting on the steps, he's actually hitting the joint over and over again. And the funny thing is that everyone was freaking out thinking he was going to get kicked off the set, and the security guards started moving in when this moment happened. When he got up to leave the scene, he went to the side of the stage, and they came up to him, but not because he was in trouble, but because they wanted to get their pictures with him, get his autograph, and all that stuff. It was nothing to do with anything he was doing wrong. And they're like, no, smoke away, you're good.
I mean, at that point, who's going to fuck with Snoop Dogg? I mean...
I'm just glad we've come a long way since 1998 where it's not a taboo thing anymore.
Yeah, I mean, today they're just going to be, oh, he's smoking weed, whatever. But back then, people were going to prison for the rest of their lives for fucking weed,
Here's the other funny pot story revolving this. So they did have a nightly routine where after they had wrapped for the day, they would go back to someone's trailer and they would smoke, but they never did it on set. Jim Brewer thought that his character was done for the day and they were done shooting scenes for him. And so he goes back to his trailer and there's a little present there from one of the other cast members. And he's like, well, I don't got any more responsibilities today. Why not? So he partook and he was very, very stoned. And all of a sudden somebody's knocking at his front door. And it is one of the people from the set saying they need him back to do his lines because there was apparently an on-set debacle between the main
yeah, it was Samson,
Clarence Williams.
Yep.
Third, him and Dave Chappelle were not getting along on set for whatever reason. It got so heated that Clarence Williams basically said, if we don't finish this wrap it today, I'm done, I'm walking, there's nothing else, I'm over it. And so they called Jim Brewer back to the set, and he was high as hell, and they needed him to just get basically, I think it was 1 or 2 lines out, and so they had to repeat it over and over and over again. Finally, Dave Chappelle looks at me and goes, man, get your shit together. That was one of those deals. And he did it. He knocked it out. So when you're seeing that final moment of him, I think it's when Clarence is on the ground, and he's jumping over him or jumping up down by him. That moment is stoned Jim Brewer. But the only time he's stoned in that, oddly enough, because... God damn, he portrayed a good stoner.
You would think that they were high from start to finish in this movie. You would believe they're high, but yeah, they're not.
Come on, man. What are we doing? Like just every inflection, every voice inflection. Yeah.
So the ending of this film, I mean, that's the one thing.
Titties.
One of the things.
Titties.
One of the things I really liked about this film.
We're the soldiers with titties.
We're the soldiers with titties. The ending of this film.
I'm sorry, ladies. I'm sorry.
It felt very Austin Powerish, kind of.
Definitely. I can go with that.
Yeah,
it's got a very Austinish vibe.
By the time they actually get to the Samson stuff, that was the stuff I actually enjoyed. I was like, well, why wasn't we doing this through the whole fucking film? Because this is when the film actually got good.
Dave Chappelle pretending he's a Jamaican that was a little rough. I didn't know that was going to go that way. It was kind of funny. But now that you said that, now all I can think of is while the women soldiers with boobs popping out everywhere are running around and the fight scenes are happening.
They're fembots.
But fembots, but I'm thinking like Mini-Me was somewhere in that room in the corner with his pinky in his mouth going, yeah, because it was quite an adventure. It's one of those ones that definitely paces slow, and then we get a good kick in the nuts the last 15 minutes, and it's worth it.
Yeah.
Now the ending is even funnier for me. It's him and Mary Jane meeting on the bridge.
Ah, Mary Jane.
I love you, Mary Jane. Anyways, they're meeting on the bridge. She's like, "Are you high?" Well, yeah, but it's like leftover from yesterday. That's what he says. And then he's got this joint in his hand. He's like, I just wanted you to see me throw this out. This is the last one I have. I'm done. I'm done. And in the original one, he throws it over. He fights with it. He goes back and forth. The joint talks to him. He throws it over, and that's that. And they walk away happily ever after. And the alternate ending cut scene. He comes running back to the edge of the bridge. He goes, no, and he jumps over, and it's just kind of funny. There were little moments that were definitely enjoyable without a doubt. But again, it's more enjoyable for like 15 to 18-year-old Ryan, not 45-year-old Ryan.
Yeah, this is definitely a juvenile stoner movie, and it's not. So here's the thing.
Well, what's a good adult stoner movie?
Okay, and that's what I'm getting ready to say. That's what I'm getting ready to talk about. Like, to me, this is
he's getting into the. All right, I want to hear this.
Adjust my mic here. So, this is a very juvenile stoner movie, and the fact that, and I've watched this film pretty recently to do kind of a little bit of a comparison and how I felt after I watched them. So when I watched this film, I literally was like, I don't feel anything for this film. It's all kind of to me. I'm not having fun as a 40-plus-year-old man watching this film. Not feeling how I did when I was 18 when I was watching this film.
People only say 40-plus when they don't want to tell their actual.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I have recently watched Dazed and Confused.
You watch it a lot, though. You like that.
I like Dazed and Confused. But Dazed and Confused, even as a 40-plus-year-old person, is still fucking fun. That movie is still funny.
When does that movie take place?
Well, it's in the 70s.
It's probably why it takes you back to your roots, doesn't it?
I was not. No.
He's like, that's when I was, I was just really exploring my early teens. I'm really aging him here.
I was in my teens when, for the people who would enjoy Half Baked.
I don't know.
I don't know. I think Dazed and Confused as a movie is just a good movie.
Dazed and Confused aside, throw some other ones out there. You got any others?
Stoner movies?
Yeah.
Stoned Age, but that one it's just like Half Baked.
Wait, take me back. What's Stoned Age? I remember this now.
It's the one with the car with the eyeball, and the guy keeps seeing the eyeball, and they go to the girl's house. The two guys go to the girl's house, and they're just getting high. And I can't remember much else beyond that.
I don't remember. I just remember the name of this movie, and I believe I might have saw it when I was a teenager, but I don't remember anything
The one
else.
guy gets high, and he's constantly seeing this eyeball.
Now I got to find Stoned Age.
Yeah, it's
How High.
See, I don't like How High.
You don't?
Not a How High fan.
Okay, fair. I like Method Man, Redman, so that's anything Wu-Tang really.
And I think my thing with Half Baked is when it came out, Waylon's ex-wife at the time, I was always at his apartment, and she had this movie on 24 hours a day, to where if I did enjoy How High, if I did enjoy How High, then I have nothing but hatred for it because I've literally seen it 100 fucking times, and so yeah, it's just not a good movie, and it's one of those movies I never want to see again,
dude. So this is funny. You know what? There's some movies I forgot about. There's some I put in solid stoner movies in the Google search. So just right off the rip, Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle.
That one's fun, and actually, Harold and Kumar the Christmas one is really fucking good.
That
too.
One's got Doogie in it, doesn't it?
I think they all have Doogie in it, don't they?
Dude, I love him. He's great.
Yeah, Doogie's in all of them.
Pineapple Express. Forgot about that. That's not
bad.
bad.
Pineapple Express is good.
Big Lebowski. I forgot. That's definitely a stoner movie. I forgot about that.
That one holds up.
I'm waiting on my new Funkos from Big Lebowski to come in. Let's see. How High, Friday.
I'm not a Friday fan.
I love Friday.
I did, however, love Don't Be a Menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood.
Okay. I remember that too. Dude, Where's My Car?
Dude, Where's My Car is fucking amazing.
And then
I have actually watched that one pretty recently, and that one holds up.
That one holds up, dude. The whole fucking ostrich scene is the screams. I am a sucker. My wife will tell you it's one of the few things that there's
I honestly think I laughed harder at Dude, Where's My Car this past year when I watched it than I did when I watched it when it came out.
I'm watching it. But there are two things that will lure me into a movie. My wife knows if I have a tear in my eye, because if it's anything related to kids and their father, I get something happening. There's a little waterworks happening here, right? There's that, or if anyone does like a sick, it's like I can't explain it. It's like if it's a sick desperation scream, high pitched, I lose my shit laughter. Like definitively, Home Alone when he is one of the best ones with the spider scene. But yeah, no, that ostrich scene took me there for sure. Let's see, Reefer Madness. That's an old school one. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Super Troopers. This is the end.
I love This Is the End.
I gotta watch that again. Grandma's Boy. Forgot about Grandma's Boy.
Yeah, I love Grandma's Boy too. Grandma's Boy's. It holds up.
So all you stoners, that's a solid list to play with. So rewind, pause, write those down.
So, and I think just about everyone we mentioned are better films than Half Baked.
I have to agree.
They really are.
And that's not to knock Half Baked. I really don't think, like I said, I don't think it's bad for what it is. If you're a young kid just figuring out what pot is.
I think the thing is, you kind of said it at the beginning of this episode, Dave Chappelle is such a funny guy. I love his stand-ups. I love the Chappelle Show, and he's such a funny guy. Jim Brewer, everybody in this cast. There's no reason this movie should have been the funniest stoner film ever made.
I feel they had handcuffs put on him.
They had handcuffs put on. Chappelle had handcuffs put on.
They were too afraid of what they were going to do because the amount of comedy genius in that film is stupid. That the fact that it's not funnier than it is.
Yeah, yeah. There was no reason this film ended up the way it ended up.
Diabetic horses aside.
The only one I think that remained funny in this film, and it's because he's actually a good, clean comedian, is Harlan Williams, because he can go do a film like Rocket Man and it'd be a Disney comedy and it'd be funny as hell. Chappelle, I don't think, is going to go do Rocket Man for Disney and it be a funny movie. He's not going to pull it off. He's not that kind of comedian. And I think that, like you said, they had the handcuffs put on. I don't think Jim Brewer or Dave Chappelle, I don't think they knew how to play this comedy like the way that I think the studios were trying to make them.
Yeah, I think that this is definitely the era more than any time in the Hollywood's little window here, but of them putting handcuffs on the creative content coming in. I think that through the rinse and repeat of the early, I don't know what you'd call it, 2000 teens, I think you saw a lot of superhero movie remakes, and we're still seeing it all come through today because they know that formula works, but they're afraid to cross boundaries and test the limits, and so this was kind of that era of when you saw comedians like this getting handcuffed and not able to do what they could do. Mm-hmm. I mean, Chappelle, we all know Chappelle Show. We all know what he's capable of. We know his stand-up, but it's no holds barred. So, yeah. Probably one of the reasons he left shortly after this.
Yeah, well, even the Chappelle Show, the censors were telling, well, you can't do that on TV. And he was, why not?
Yeah.
You know, so, I mean, they were trying then.
And he was, and you know what is funny? I used to like when he would, like, they would tell him things like that, and he'd bring the person he was going to make fun of onto the show to do it with him. Like, so he has that workaround where he'll, like, try and make it, okay, well, you won't let me do it. What if they let me do it?
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm here for it.
So, budget and box office.
Wait a minute. Aren't you proud of me? I made it more than double the amount of time I made it last time.
You did. He did. 20-minute episode of me going, what do you think about this, Ryan? Ryan. What about this part, Ryan?
Oh, boy.
And nothing. There was nothing.
When you see the intro at the insert at the beginning of this, when it's edited in, you're going to know, and this moment will be funny. I promise. All right, so your box office and budget. Let's go.
So I see you've got it over there.
I do.
I have it. I actually don't remember it, but I've got it.
Well, then don't look it up. It's your turn.
Okay.
What was the budget?
I think the budget was like under $10 million.
See, you saw too much.
No, I didn't even get to it.
I don't believe you.
I can't get to it.
Lies. It was $8 million.
$8 million.
And then gross. What was the gross?
If I had to guess, because I do not remember, but I remember this movie doing mediocre, okay, but I don't think it broke records or anything by any means. I will say 20.
Just under 17.5.
Oh, okay. So I'm pretty ballpark.
Yeah. And so I do see this as a definite success, but we never got a part 2, which is okay. Unless this one I could see them trying to reboot with today's standards. If they try to bring this back with today's standards and the way America is right now, I think we'd see a much darker, more funny and adult version of this.
Oh, yeah. You could definitely. I mean, well, look what they did with, like, This Is the End and some of these newer comedies. Even, like, the Edgar Wright stuff with, like, World's End. You know, some of the there's some funny shit out there that kind of pushes the boundaries on a lot of this type of comedy. I think This Is the End was probably a bad example, but at the same time, they were drinking and smoking. You know, it was still kind of that went into a science fiction film, but
it was still good.
It was still good. No, I love Edgar Wright. I love those films. But yeah, I think in today's world, if I'd hate to see it remade. I think there's no point in remaking this film, but this type of film would be done completely different. It would be a wild ride in today's world.
Yeah, and if nothing else, a sequel. Maybe we get, at this point, because we're so far along, it could be Dave Chappelle and Mary Jane's Kid. You know what I mean? Like, bring it up.
That would be the way to do this, is it would be a sequel and bring all these actors back.
Or you could have Kenny and the horse. No, it's kidding.
Kenny he works on a cattle farm or a horse farm of some sort.
Yeah. For diabetic horses. All right, ratings.
So this is your movie, so
I'll go. I don't remember what my previous rating was, but I'm guessing.
I don't remember what my previous rating was. I didn't write it down, but it wasn't good.
No.
I'm just going to be honest with you. My opinion of this movie is it does not hold up. 18-year-old JP that watched this film loved this film, thought it was one of the funniest films I'd seen at the time. Today, this version of JP, 20 plus years later, the only stuff I laughed at was the Harlan Williams stuff, the Kenny stuff with the death of the horse and him going to jail and him surviving prison and becoming Tommy Chong's bitch and
I'm someone's bitch.
that was the stuff I liked, and I liked the ending. You know, that felt where the movie turned and felt more like an Austin Powers movie. But beyond that, I mean, this movie was boring. Oh my god, it was boring. The pacing was horrible.
I don't think it was boring. I just don't think it was as funny as I thought it was when I was younger.
If it had got to the Samson stuff a lot quicker, this film would have been so much better. And it took forever to get to the Samson stuff.
There was definitely some things that could have changed. But I think if I remember correctly, your rating last time was a 2.5. Mine was a 3.
That was where my rating, that was where I was going. I'm going to sit right in the middle at a 2.5. And you know, this is one of those movies that, just like we just gave a list of better stoner films, there's better stoner films to go watch over this one. At a 2.5, and I can't even recommend you to go watch it as a bad rating movie. You know, it's just there's better films out there
for sure. And since I'm not melting and I'm not my previous Ryan self version of myself from the deleted episode, I'm gonna actually bring it down here. And usually JP and I are in same range together, but I'm right there with you. 2.5 is where I'm sticking. 2.5 nerds from me as well. It just didn't hold up. It's just not there. But it's got its place in my life for that part of my childhood. But that's it.
Yeah. Recommendations. You have any recommendations?
Fuck yeah, I do.
Oh, I've got a lot. So we're filming like 3 or 4 episodes tonight. So I'm going to have recommendations on all these episodes because I've watched so much shit.
I got one movie I'm going to go with, and I haven't watched the sequel to it yet, but it's lined up to be watched ASAP because the first one was so fucking good. It's on Prime, I believe. It might be Paramount Plus now. I don't remember which, but Becky. I had not seen the movie Becky.
Oh, Becky's great, and the second one is really good.
I haven't seen Wrath of Becky yet. It's in my queue. I want to watch it, but Becky was so surprisingly amazing. Like I was as the movie progressed, the pacing was not bad. As the movie progressed, it took the right course, the right pace, violence, action. There's a scene where the antagonist, what's his name? He's
I can't
Mall
remember.
Cop.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Paul Blart, Mall Cop guy.
Yes, James. Kevin James.
Kevin
There it
James.
is.
There's a part where Becky fucks up his eye pretty good, and his eye is hanging out of its socket, and he cuts it off with a knife. And I was like, whoa! Like it was good. It was solid. So that's my recommendation. If you haven't seen Becky, you want a good action with a young female protagonist, go for it.
So I've got a TV recommendation and a film recommendation. And I'm going to go with a comedy since this was a comedy film that we reviewed. So the movie I watched, actually, I'm not sure if it just came out or when it came out, but I just watched it, and I know it came out in 2024, I believe. Unfrosted. Did you see this?
No.
This is on. This is a Netflix original, and I think it was directed and maybe written by, but stars Seinfeld, Jerry Seinfeld. And the cast is amazing. Like, it's a very comedic cast. And it's about Post and not General Mills. Is it General Mills? The cereal companies.
Oh, it's a documentary.
Nope.
No.
It is a comedy. It's a spoof comedy on them creating the Pop-Tart. And the two companies going head-to-head to who can get the Pop-Tart out first.
All I want to know is who made Toastums.
And it's called Unfrosted because obviously the Pop-Tarts at the time were unfrosted. And it's not like a accurate account of how it was created. It's a hilarious account of how it was created. And it's a really fun fucking comedy. So, TV show comedy, action comedy TV show I'm going to recommend. And I had actually watched...
I got a TV show too.
I had actually watched this as it aired. And I decided here recently that I wanted to rewatch it, I wanted to revisit it, and it is on Freevee. You can watch it for free, the whole series. The Lethal Weapon series.
The TV series?
The TV series. I fucking love that series. Like, it's such a good
I
series.
the movies, not the series.
The series is great. The series it's fun action. The comedy in it's great. I actually enjoy the series more than the films. And those films I hold in a very high regard. It's very specifically the first two I hold in a pretty high regard. But this is consistently it's good start to finish. And even, not going to give too much away, but last season there was some actor changes and Sean William Scott comes in. I even enjoyed it with the actor switches and Sean William Scott.
I heard about that.
And obviously,
Stifler.
Yeah. It's only like 3 seasons long, but it's a solid watch. If you never got to watch it and you're a Lethal Weapon fan, you're going to enjoy that series.
My series is a little more dark. It's not it's a docu-series. It is Lake Erie Murders. I've been watching on Max. And what lured me into this was that the first 3 episodes pertain to a very famous kidnapping that happened here in northeastern Ohio. And that was Amy Mahalovic kidnapping case. I actually lived in Bay Village, and I was the same exact age as Amy Mahalovic. And every weekend, my grandparents would take me to the Baskin-Robbins where she got kidnapped from. So this one hit home on a lot of levels, and so I started watching those. And the first 3 episodes being based on that was just phenomenal to see it. Unfortunately, they never caught the person who did it. But they're still investigating. It's an open cold case. But it went from there, and it went into anywhere surrounding Lake Erie. Basically, there were Cleveland ones, there were serial killer ones that were based around the Great Lakes. There was Buffalo one, an Indiana one. All these things kind of tied in, and they were done well.
Awesome, yeah. And I think my wife probably watched that, but I've not watched it.
You might. So, starting with the Amy Holovic thing in our previous conversations, a lot of it is kid focus. A lot of it is, but it also the good thing is not all of them are just like open cold cases. Some of them have resolution.
I can deal with that. It's just I can't watch the ones that actually have serial killers talking about what they did. Yeah. That's the ones where I'm like, and I have an issue with all of them since then. But that was the turning point for me, was when I had to listen to the guy that actually killed somebody and killed a young girl, and know that he's still breathing air. And that's where the line really fucked with me, you know. And I think it should. I think any father it would.
Oh yeah, gets my blood boiling. Well, all right, that's all I got. I hope you guys like the suggestions. Hopefully you guys like the episode. And you know, we talked about it in the beginning, but sharing is caring. So if you wouldn't mind, spread the word. Click share.
CineNerds Podcast.com. Later.
Later.